Hi everyone, you're listening to episode 5 of the Orange Thumbstick podcast. I'm Dave and I am joined by the ever-present Russ and Bobby. How you guys doing, you alright?
All good, mate, cheers.
Yeah, not bad, mate.
How you doing?
I'm alright, I'm good. A bit of a busy show this month. Digital Foundry recently revealed the specs for Scorpio, which we'll be discussing today. So I want to go through that with you guys, and also some E3 predictions following on from that sort of reveal that Digital Foundry did. Quite like to get some predictions from yourselves and from me as well. And then just close it up with what we've been playing and stuff like that. So what did you guys think of the reveal? Obviously it happened yesterday. So did you watch the videos? Have you read the reports? What did you think?
I read up on it. I didn't actually watch the video. Russ was watching it and told us what was happening because I was at work when it was on. But to be honest, I was a little bit disappointed because I was expecting a name and like be shown the console. So I think it might have been. Afterwards, I realised a lot of people had been posting saying that they're not going to have the console there. It's just going to be like the specs of it, so to speak. So that's probably my fault, thinking that it was going to be more than that. Like I thought this was the reveal, like the big one.
Yeah.
Kind of a little bit confused as to why they've done it like this, because majority of the specs that they've said were already kind of new. Nothing was kind of stapled down or nailed down, but we kind of knew it. I think maybe it was just to keep it alive, so to speak, before coming up to E3 later in the year. So, yeah, I mean, I was still really excited finding out exactly what it has and comparing it with the Xbox One. I was hoping for are they going to keep Scorpio as the name? Are they going to give it another name? And what's it going to look like? That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, I think the reason why they revealed the specs the way they did was because, as I mentioned in the last podcast, Phil Spencer sort of said that he didn't want E3 to be taken up with all, hardware talk and specifications and everything. So I think the reason why they've done what they've done is so when people go into E3, they've got a clear mind of, the spec of this machine and what, if they do show any games, which I'm sure they will, the spec of the machine that's running those games, basically. So let's go through what wasn't confirmed. So there was no name revealed. We've mentioned that. There was no price revealed, and the box itself wasn't revealed either. Digital Foundry have they estimated what the price they think it should be based on the specs and sort of brief comments that Microsoft made throughout their visit there, and they think it's going to be $499 stroke around about £420, which is very, very close to what the original Xbox One was at release. I think it's a realistic price. The spec of the machine looks absolutely fantastic. Russ, I know we spoke about it briefly yesterday, and we're not the most tech savvy, and we don't quite know what all these specs are about.
No.
But they kind of give it like a good breakdown, didn't they, in terms of comparisons between the Xbox One, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I still measure in feet and inches, me, so that says a lot. And when it came to the breakdown, my ears were pricked up when they showed off the footage of, was it Forza 6 running at 4K, and it was only using 66% of the CPU, which is pretty impressive. The other thing to note as well was, because I watched the video, as Bobby said earlier on, and he said that Microsoft sort of cobbled together the prototype for the new console, if you like, and then they used Forza 6 as the first game on it, and it worked straight away, which was more or less unprecedented. No changes had to be made, so it's going to be pretty shit hot, if for want of any other better words. Out from the get-go, there shouldn't be any flaws or anything. If they can get a game working on it that early on without having to make any changes, then it's going to be good.
Yeah, and I think it is. With Forza 6, it was running at 94K at 60 frames per second with no jarring, nothing. Yeah. It was so smooth. It was really good. So that is really promising. And 66% of the resources of the console is absolutely fantastic. I think they said that Forza 6 on the Xbox One at 1080p 60 ran at about 90% of the resources of the console.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with the resolution being obviously 4 times higher on the Scorpio and it only using 66% of the resources is absolutely fantastic. Some of the things that they did sort of confirm was obviously the backwards compatibility that's been pretty successful since they announced it on the Xbox One. An interesting thing that they said was they've confirmed 100% compatibility with any software that runs on the existing Xbox One hardware. But not only that, they'll get a major boost as well. So the only thing I could compare this to is the boost mode on the PS4 Pro. And what the boost mode does, it doesn't clean up frame rate and it so much, and it doesn't clean up resolutions or anything like that. It doesn't increase a game that was 900p to 1080p. It just makes it a smoother game to play. Whereas the boost mode from Scorpio, from what they've said, is it's going to increase the resolution and it's going to increase the frame rate to what it should be. So, for example, what can I use here? Battlefield 4, I think it was, came out at 720p on the Xbox One. I believe that will get a boost of resolution. There'll be an update released for that, and the frame rate will be smoother. I'm hoping Just Cause 3 is amongst that, to be honest, because the frame rate was a bit dodgy on that one.
Yeah.
And the load times as well. They've promised the load times are going to be quicker. So that's a good sign. That's a really good sign. I'm really excited about that.
Is that going to be the same for backwards compatible though? Is it gonna kind of upscale the backwards compat games? Because I was made aware that they're going to run on the Scorpio. Well,
yeah. So in terms of the backwards compatibility, they are going to. What will happen with that in their equivalent of the boost mode is that if a game is set to run at 30 frames per second but struggles, and let's say it had screen tearing, they have said that there will be no screen tearing on that game and the frame rate will be at its original locked frame rate of what it should have been. So, for example, Far Cry 3, that had quite a lot of screen tearing and quite a bit of slowdown, it was programmed to be 30 frames per second and have no screen tear. So what Scorpio will do is it'll basically allow that programming to be its maximum of what it should be.
Yeah.
So that's quite exciting. But I want to go back to the price for a minute. So Digital Foundry have given their sort of prediction of what they feel the machine should be. I predicted before Christmas that I thought it would be around about the £400 mark, maybe with an Elite bundle at £500. What are your thoughts on it? How do you think the pricing structure will work for it?
So I'll let you go first on this one.
I mean, I've always said 500 sub 500, and it's looking like that. Will they bring out various incarnations of it with different hard drives? More than likely, sort of an introductory level one with whatever sort of size hard drive, right up to something with an insane hard drive in it. Seems to be the norm these days, and again, it'll give everybody with different different size wallets the opportunity to buy the console from a reasonable perspective. I mean, sub 500, you can't moan at the end of the day. The original Xbox One was it about 500 at launch, wasn't it? Maybe more.
It was 430 at launch with FIFA 17 free, and then obviously the Kinect, rest in peace, Kinect in the box with it. So
you can't grumble there, can you? At that sort of price for a system that's going to be that powerful. Really can't.
You can't, but at the same time, they were quoted as saying that they've designed this machine to win developers back, because they acknowledge that PlayStation won the console war, if you want to call it that, between the PS4 and the Xbox One, and they've actively said, we want to get developers back, we want to get the trust of them back, etc. But it's all about the consumer as well. They want to get the consumers back and get the trust back in them, etc. For it to be around about 500 quid, I think they'll be alienating themselves, because the PS4 Pro launched at 350.
You've got to look at it from the other hand, though, Dave. I mean, with what this has got inside it, it's starting with a 1 terabyte hard drive. It's got capabilities for 4K and Blu-ray built in it. Like the PS4 Pro only had a Blu-ray player. Its optical drive was Blu-ray, whereas this optical drive is 4K UHD Blu-ray. It's got the same hard drive, 1 TB, which I'm assuming is the standard. Memory bandwidth's higher. The overall memory is higher. It's 12 gigabytes, DDR5. So got to look at that. Like, depending on what way you want to look at it. If you want to look at it in the console market, yeah, 500 quid probably is pricier. But if you want to open it up to the overall gaming market, I heard somewhere that it was described as a very powerful PC from last year is what it's going to be like. Now, I know the price of extremely powerful PCs will be like about £2,000, something like that. So if you want something that is a console but runs like kind of like a high-powered PC, basically a bit like what the Xbox One does and stuff like that, but obviously better. £500 an absolute bargain when you look at it like that. I personally think it's going to be between 400 and 600. Like what Russ said with the hard drives, I noticed that they've got that Seagate 4 TB hard drive advertised everywhere now. The
external
the Xbox One, yeah, the external. I think there's going to be like a 4 or 5 TB model that comes out with it, and like it's going to be an attempt at a mic drop for this, because everyone across the console wars has had issues with installing games, especially on this gen, and not having enough space. I don't ever really remember having many problems with my 360. But with my Xbox One, it was an issue from the get-go with the original one, and even with me Xbox One S with a 1 TB in and a 2 TB attached to it, I'm still filling it. So they're going to have to do something, and I think Russ was onto something when he said they're going to do the different levels, a bit like when we had the core console up to the Elite on the 360. I think it's going to be like that. My speculation on the price was always 400 to 600, and to be honest, I'm edging more towards between 5 and 6 on what I think it's going to cost.
Okay. That's okay. That's interesting. You mentioned the RAM. That was the one thing that stuck out for me more than anything, was the fact that the PS4 Pro it had 8 gig of GDDR5, and Scorpio is going to have 12 gig, which is it's a massive leap. So with that amount of RAM in there, everything he's going to run incredibly smooth. Russ, was it you that was saying to me that they mentioned the operating system as well, the dashboard and everything being running full 94K as well?
That's right, yeah. Dashboard is going to be 4K, because I don't know what it runs at on the Xbox One now, but from what they said, it doesn't run at 1080 as an example. So it's on the new console, it's going to be 4K, the same across the board for everything. So the wording was it's the first time they've been able to do it. So
yeah.
Also, the game DVR as well. So recording your game clips, that's going to be 4K 60 frames as well.
I think it's worth noting as well that Digital Foundry that did the reveal. I think it was alongside Eurogamer, was it, that they did it through? They loved the console. They loved the specification. They loved seeing it running with the Forza 6. The Forza 6 game at 4K 60, and I've followed Digital Foundry for quite a long time, and from what I've read and watched and everything that they've done in the past, they've normally been pretty spot on. So for them guys, and they're very fussy as well. They're very, very fussy in terms of their tech and everything. And if something promises one thing and it doesn't deliver, Digital Foundry are all over it. They're like, hang on a second, you've promised this, but it didn't deliver. But when they went to see the Scorpio running and everything, they came back saying it is everything that Xbox promised at E3 last year, because there were a lot of rumours, weren't there, flying around about people saying, oh, they're never going to live up to that specification that they've promised, and this whole 6 teraflops and everything, it's not going to be that. But they actually confirmed that they've gone there and the specification is probably slightly better than what everybody anticipated, and the RAM being the main one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would imagine, and this is only speculation from my opinion, that I still believe that they're going to do a pre-show where they'll reveal the box itself and they'll give a price and a solid release date, because the release date they've given a window, it's holiday 2017. That was another thing that was going to be questioned, whether they'd be able to get it out this year. They've said the window, they've announced the window, Holiday 17. So I still think they're going to do a pre-event with the box and price and release date. So at E3, Phil Spencer can concentrate just solely on the games.
That's what I was going to say. That the reason why they've done this reveal via Digital Foundry was to get the specs out there, and then when it comes to the E3 reveal thing, it's show what games is coming for it, showing games off playing on the console, and then showing off the final product either before or after. To me, it would make sense for them to blow everybody away with the physical graphics and all that to start with, and then show you the finished product at the end. Just spotlight on
it makes
the new
sense.
Console. And going on to that, I know you probably
sense.
wanted to know earlier on about speculation of what it's going to look like. And there's an image floating around on Twitter again. I don't know if it is a proper thing, because I know there was blown up images of the different parts of the console. So I don't know if it's from that and somebody's put it all together. But from what I can tell, you can only really see the front of the console. It's sort of like from an isometric view. It looks similar in design to the Xbox One S, with the sort of step up from the base of the console, and it comes out and then up.
Yeah.
But the disc tray is actually moved from the left to the right side, so that's a first as well. And it's not a big deal, but design-wise, from Xbox point of view, disc tray's always been on the left, and now it's on the right.
Yeah. Yeah, in terms of the design, I've heard a lot of rumours that it's going to be very similar to the S. I don't know what it's going to look like, to be honest. I think it'll be very, very similar to the S, but a more premium looking machine. And I know that they've confirmed internal power supply with this as well, haven't they?
Yeah,
that's definitely been confirmed. What was you going to say?
Can't really change it though, because they're keeping it as part of the same family as the Xbox One and the Xbox One S, so they can't bring something that looks completely different, because then when people look at it, people who don't have a clue about consoles and stuff, they're going to go, what's that? Whereas if they look at it and it looks similar to the S and the Xbox One, they're going to go, oh, that's an Xbox. So that's my thought on it, that it's going to basically just be a chunkier S, and they're maybe going to, like Russ was saying, swap the drive around to the other side, so at first glance you can instantly tell the difference.
So you're saying it's
to be honest, I like the way it looks. So
I was led to believe that it was going to be even smaller than the S.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I can't see that happening, to be honest. I mean, the Scorpio is going to be more powerful than the PS4. The PS4 Pro. They've confirmed that. They said it's going to be considerably more powerful than the PS4 Pro, and the PS4 Pro is bigger than the vanilla PS4 console, considerably. Height-wise, it's no different, but the actual depth of the console, it's a deeper console, and it's a hell of a lot heavier as well. So for a more powerful machine to be in an even smaller machine than the One S, I don't think they'll be able to do that. I think it'll probably be some.
Sorry, Dave, I keep talking over you, mate.
That's all right.
You've got to think airflow and stuff as well, because remember all the overheating problems the 360 had. They've nigh on nailed it with the Xbox One S. That's why I'm thinking it's going to basically. I don't think it's if you imagine an Xbox One S next to a Xbox One, I think it's going to be slightly smaller than the Xbox One, the style of the Xbox One S, and I think it's going to probably have a hell of a lot more fans than what this one does. And obviously, this is just all specification.
It's going to have one fan. I don't know if you saw that there was something that they was quite impressed with at Digital Foundry. It was towards the end of the coverage. He was quite blown away by this new design of fan and the. I don't know all the technical terms, like the heat fins, or that dissipate all the heat.
Yeah.
He said it was quite a unique sort of thing.
I don't know if that worries us or not. That one fan.
Depends where they're
worried by that or not.
Well, from what I've seen of it's going to be at the top, but currently they're in the centre of the console, aren't they? This one's going to be more towards the front. Which may be part of the reason why they've changed the design to switching over the disk drive, because the fan is at the front on the left side, and maybe vented rather than just being vented on the top. It may be vented all the way around from the top round to the front, with it being more towards the front.
Yeah. Possibly. I think that's the one thing that I don't like with the designs of the Xbox consoles. I mean, going all the way back to sort of the 360, the Slim when it had the grill on the top and everything, and I don't like the fans being set like that with it coming out the top, because you're kind of restricted where you can put the console. You know, if you've got fans at the back, you can put it into like a nice, tightly, not too snug, but a nice fitted shelf, knowing that there's air at the back where it can vent, whereas the Xbox One and everything, with the fan being at the top, you've got to allow some kind of room at the top for the air to circulate, to stop it overheating. I don't like the fans at the top, but if the machine is as good as what they're making out, they can put the fan anywhere they like, as far as I'm concerned. So, we've discussed the price, we've discussed the specification and everything, and I'll go back to the specs in terms of the PS4 Pro. My personal opinion is the PS4 Pro is a good machine. It probably wasn't announced and marketed quite the way it probably should have been, but it's a decent machine. To know that the Scorpio is going to be more powerful than that fills me with a lot of confidence, and I think Xbox and Phil Spencer are doing things the right way. You know, we've discussed already about they've revealed the specs now. If they do a pre-reveal for the console and the price, etc., they're then going to have E3, like you said, Russ, to literally open the show with a massive bang. Because if they'd have kept the specs and the box and everything till E3, you know, opening the show with a picture of a chip, it's not a great opener, is it? So,
no.
what do you think they're going to open E3 with?
To me, I would like to see games being played on the machine, and then finished with, like I said earlier, a spotlight, black everything else out, spotlight on the middle of the stage with the console on a pedestal or whatever, just showing you what the final product looks like, and then fade in from the screen behind it, showing all the games that are coming, because they are making an emphasis on games now, aren't they? That's something that Phil Spencer said previously. They are going to be making a conscious effort for games, which is, I know, one of the big fanboy war things is that Xbox doesn't have exclusives, etc., etc. But quality over quantity at the end of the day is a thing without starting any arguments. Yeah.
So do you not think then, Russ, that they're going to do a pre-show, a pre-reveal before E3? You think they're going to reveal the machine at E3 at their conference?
Possible. I think that's part of the reason why they've announced all the specs now, just to get that bit done and dusted out of the way. They can just concentrate on showing it off come E3. Yeah.
So what game do that one?
What game do they open with then? What game do they open
Crackdown.
with? Let's discuss that.
Yeah, I think Crackdown 3.
I think Crackdown.
Crackdown 3 and Forza 6.
Crackdown 3, because it's kept being put back to the point where it's obviously being held back for Scorpio. Destructible World, so they're going to be able to show it off in all its glory. You know, the engine working its nuts off, with a world blowing up and buildings coming down and an agent running around a city, jumping here, there and everywhere, shooting everything. It's going to be that action game that is going to be needed to show it off at the end of the day. And then you use a game like Forza to show off its beauty, because that's what, let's be honest, that's what the racing games are used for, to show you the fine details of rain on windscreens and you know, tyre spray and all the fine detail stuff that can be shown off.
There's no genre of game shows off a new console's power more than a driving game. You go back historically to all the console reveals, and every single one has been pushed with a driving game. I mean, Forza 5 was the one that pushed Xbox One. That and Rise, those were the two games that really pushed it. And I believe they opened with those, didn't they?
Yeah, there you go then. So you've got a driving game and an action game. So I reckon they're the same. Crackdown and Forza.
I think, Crackdown 3, Forza 6 is what they'll start off with. And I don't think they'll announce
Forza 7,
pre-show.
Forza 7.
Oh, Jesus. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with us? Yeah, Forza 7. Forza 3 and the 360 will be announced. Forza 7 and Crackdown 3. And I don't think they'll have a pre-show, because I think that the announcement we've just heard was the pre-show. That was the pre-party. And I actually, for me and Russ, don't always have the exact same idea, but I was planning on saying, going to open my Crackdown 3, go into Forza, or Forza, as some people call it, and then after they show off a load of games and stuff like that, it's going to go Spotlight, Centre Stage, Bump, there it is. Would love to see something like they've got an Xbox One case sitting over the top of it and they lift it off like they did with the 360 and the 360 Slim. But I don't think that's going to happen because this is a bit different. But yeah, that's if it doesn't go down like that, that's how it should go down. Games in that on a pedestal in the center of the stage.
Okay. So the next question then: do you think they will stick to traditional release and release it in November, or do you think they might give us a surprise and do it a little bit earlier, maybe October?
I'd love a surprise.
Yeah, but realistically, they want to release it for Christmas, aren't they?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if they said at E3 and just to let you know, it's available right now? It'll never happen, but imagine if that did.
Didn't they do that for something?
Oh. They did
that for the Xbox 360S. There's another one for the 360S because they said it's available right now and everybody here has one underneath the seat. Am I right? Am I getting me wires crossed there? Is that correct?
Sounds about right. I know they did it with something.
Yeah, I do recall something like that happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll do it with this though.
No, give away.
I don't think there'll be one. I don't think there'll be one of these underneath everyone's seat.
Well, in saying that, when they brought out the original Xbox, they were losing money on every one that was sold.
True.
So you never know. From the looks of it, they just want to dominate the market and they want to be good for the fans because obviously they made all the mistakes and lost exclusives and all the stuff like that, and all the ponies came out and crazy about it. Yeah,
and I think this is going to be. I've said it before, but I think this is going to be Phil Spencer's Xbox now. This is probably the machine that the Xbox One should have been in a way, but. I mean, we've been very vocal before about how Phil Spencer's changed the Xbox One since that disastrous announcement pre-E3, and then you know what happened at E3, etc. with the price. He's kind of changed it all completely. Everything that has happened that's been great with the console has been down to him and his team. And I think Scorpio is going to be his machine now. It's his Xbox. He's had full control over it. So yeah, it's going to be really, really exciting. So, what do you think it's going to be called? That's what everyone's floating about at the moment.
Xbox Spencer.
Xbox Spencer, that's what I'm calling it.
See,
the Spencer.
We discussed this yesterday, didn't we? And my theory, I think, it's probably got the most to it, was the Xbox One was called so because it was supposed to be the one unit you needed for all your entertainment in your household. Now, the new console is said to be the end of console generations, so Xbox Infinity is what I said.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Bob, what are you going to call it? What do you think they'll call it?
Being honest, I think they're going to call it the Xbox Scorpio. I think they're going to keep the project name for once because it's went that big with that name. I think that's what they're going to keep it at. Personally, I'd rather them not, because then people aren't going to call it an Xbox anymore. They're going to call it a Scorpio, which is when I'm talking about it, that's what I say now. Oh, I can't wait for the Scorpio, but I would like it to be the Xbox, like something more like what Russ said, Xbox Infinity, because you'll still call it an Xbox, because we're not talking about a car maker, so you're not going to call it Infinity, are you? So, hopefully,
do you think they'll call it
Xbox
Infinity or Xbox One Infinity?
I think they'll keep the One, because they kept it with the S, obviously, obvious reasons. I think they'll keep the Xbox One Infinity.
So what happens when the next one comes out then in 3 or 4 years' time? Are they going to call it the Xbox One Infinity? The Xbox One Infinity 2?
I think when it's time for the next one, you've got the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One. I'm not going to lie, I thought they were going to call it the 720. I really did think they were going to call it the 720. For years, I'd seen daft clickbait posts on it, and that's what I was convinced they were going to call it until it was announced. I think they'll just either add a different name on the end, the Xbox something, or a different number on the end for the one after that. But for this generation and this console, I think it's going to be the Xbox One Scorpio. But I would like it to be like what Russ said, Xbox One Infinity, or something along the lines of that kind of thing. But yeah, it's a difficult one to say because obviously these project names, it's an American thing. They all have project names of something like that, and it completely 9 times out of 10 they do it to completely knock you off what the name's going to be. And it's so that when they're talking about it, it's like a code. So if they're talking about Scorpio, before it was announced, nobody's going to know that they're talking about the new Xbox. When the staff are talking about it, they're not going to drop themselves in hot water. Where I work, they have different names for the machines there. One that will have a number is called Nevada or something like that. And that's why they do it. And they're probably just going to completely catch you off guard with the name. But to be honest, being completely honest, I'm a little bit lost at what I think of it. I do think Russ is right, and I do partly think they're going to keep Scorpio, but I'm a little bit lost on the full thing with it having a code name. And with it being pushed so far with that code name, I can't see why they would want to change it, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess.
I think it's been mentioned before about the whole ecosystem, and they've promoted that especially with the Play Anywhere titles. You know, Forza Horizon 3 did it. I think Gears of War 4 did it. The Play Anywhere games with Windows. They want that ecosystem to be all in one. So it needs to be, I think, a name that's going to associate them all, as you both quite rightly said, in the same sort of family kind of thing. I believe that they'll keep the one because it defines this sort of console generation, and then when the next one is released, then I think we'll probably see the proper brand going forward. Do you not think they'll just call it Xbox One 4K?
Well, that would be simpler, wouldn't it? That would be the best, simplest option for it. Just the Xbox One 4K. There it is. Thank you very much. But
it would make things a lot easier, like you were just saying. You know, people they're going in asking for an Xbox. If they go in and say, well, "Okay, can I have an Xbox One?" Yeah, sure. Which one do you want? Do you want the Xbox One, the Xbox One S, or the Xbox One 4K? And then they discuss the tiers. It just makes things simpler for the consumer. But in saying that, they've come out, haven't they, Xbox, and said this is targeted as a premium console for people that know exactly what they're buying. So you could be right. They might just call it Scorpio, Xbox Scorpio, and sort of have it sort of as part of the same family, but at the same time on its own a little bit for people that know exactly what they want. I want a Scorpio, but everybody else coming in, I want an Xbox. Well, okay, well, which one do you want? They've already said, haven't they, they're going to sell more Xbox One S's than they are of Scorpios because it is the mid-range sort of model. It's in terms of the price. So
it does stand out though, compared to, like, you look at other consoles. We've got the PS4, PlayStation 4. We've got the Xbox 360, Xbox One. We've got the Nintendo Wii, the Nintendo Switch. Xbox One Scorpio does sound completely. The Scorpio just sounds like it shouldn't be there. And
sounds
that
badass.
Could be a good fact. Yeah, it is. It sounds badass. So that could be a marketing strategy or something.
But it already is.
I'm a little, but yeah, obviously, they'll just on how much they've marketed it for them to change the name from Scorpio. Maybe I'm just a little bit simple here, but I don't see why they would need to.
Yeah.
They're going to have words after this recording, mate. Yeah, I wouldn't see why they would want to, because it's kind of became like a household name now, and it isn't even released.
Yeah, you're right. So you're absolutely right.
Not? You know what I mean?
When people talk about Scorpio now, you don't even have to mention that it's an Xbox. You know, they know exactly what you're talking about.
Everywhere I go, when I see like friends and who I haven't seen in ages, the first thing that asks is, getting a Scorpio. Don't say you get an Xbox Scorpio, they just go, are you getting a Scorpio? That's the first question I always get off them, and I, to be honest, I didn't like it at first. It's grown on us.
Do you think they could just go with the format that Sony went with and just call it the Pro, the Xbox One Pro?
Nope, they will never do that.
I hope they wouldn't.
No.
I'd hope they wouldn't do that. I don't want to. I don't like this little fanboy argument that goes on, but that would just cause hell.
It would open up a can of worms, wouldn't it? Well, they'll obviously be aware of. So no, that's a big no. They will never do that.
I mean, if they called it the Xbox One, the actual Pro, I'd probably back that.
You kind of start something already.
I'm just baiting people, aren't I?
Yeah.
The native Pro. That's what the Xbox One. The Xbox One native 4K in brackets.
Actual 4K.
Right, that's enough of that.
Nice here, fellas. Yeah.
Stop it. Let's move on now.
Yeah. No, listen, I said, the PS4 Pro, it's a great machine, but the Scorpio being that step up, it just fills me with confidence because the PS4 Pro runs great, it looks great, it's got some great games on there. So if the Scorpio is going one step ahead of that in terms of its spec, then I think we're in for a real treat. I really do. Okay, so other E3 predictions then. Do you think there's going to be any surprise AAA announcements? There's not been much come out of what's going to sort of happen at the conference and whatever. We already know what games are going to be announced. Inevitably, Forza 7 is going to be announced without a shadow of a doubt.
There's got to be something. I mean, let's be honest.
It's got to be Halo.
There was no real reason given for the scale-bound cancellation, and anything I can sort of put on that is all efforts were taken off that to be put onto some maybe put onto some secret game project to get it ready in time for. So this brand new game to go with a brand new console, brand new IP. Have that, as well as they'll show off obviously the usual ID games as well. That they'll all be shown off on there because there's quite a few coming of those as well. And was there not mentioned 1,000 have been confirmed?
Something like that.
Not like 1,000 within the next couple of months, but 1,000 however long it's going to take for them to come out. There's been 1,000 games confirmed through the Idea Xbox program as well, so that you get the usual with them. Maybe we'll see the final release, the big shocker that Cuphead will finally be coming out.
It's been that long. They can keep it. They can keep it.
But yeah, I think there's going to be at least one probably new game that they're going to try and get out there. Let's be honest, they have tread the waters with new IPs. Not done too well with the likes of Quantum Break, etc. So they are going to nail something somewhere along the lines. They've got to. They need to.
Do you think that? I mean, don't get me wrong. Crackdown 3, it's going to be a great game. It's great exclusive. Forza 7 is a given anyway. But do you not think that they need that killer game, that one that's going to make everybody go,
there's got to be.
Wow?
Yeah. And it needs to be.
What do you think that could be? Do you think it'll be a current franchise, or like what you just said? Do you believe it'll be a brand new IP?
Let's look at it. Like everybody's moaned like hell of Gears of War. It's got stale now. What else is there? Halo stale now. They need that new game that they can right. This is our flagship game. They've got to move it up a gear now because everybody's moaning. Even though when new IPs come, as we've just said already, people then put them down. They've got to try something. You can't get anywhere without trying. So
yeah. Do you? I mean, this is again speculation from me, but. From my understanding, CD Projekt Red have got quite a good relationship with Microsoft and Xbox. Do you think that Cyberpunk could be that killer exclusive? Because not much has come out about it. No formats have been confirmed for it. We just know they're working on it. Do you think that could be the one?
It's possible. Everything again. We could talk about this for hours and hours and speculate and go around in circles. Something's got to happen. End of the day.
I know what it's going to be. And I'm really shocked that Dave hasn't mentioned it. Dave's favourite developer.
Kitty Powers'
favourite developer in the whole wide world, and it's already going to be coming to Scorpio, Xbox One. You know what I'm talking about. Red Dead Redemption 2.
No chance.
Yeah, but
none of you mentioned it.
That won't be exclusive.
That's all right. Yeah.
Oh, my mistake. Were you talking exclusives? I was talking exclusives at the start, and I just completely drifted to Red Dead 2.
No, it didn't take much for you to drift.
Red Dead 2, yeah. Red Dead 2, they've got a deal, they've got a marketing deal with Sony. So Sony will be releasing no-date bundles with Red Dead. They'll probably have early access to the extra content, etc.
Yeah.
They might have some exclusivity on some of the online modes, maybe. But
what's
that deal was done and dusted.
A new action game at the end of the day.
New IP.
It's got to be an action game. It's got to not replace Gears, but take the reins at the end of the day. I say everybody's moaning that Gears has gone stale, Halo's gone stale. The two big action games for Microsoft. There's got to be a new action game that they release.
You've got to remember though, there's all these ideated Xbox titles that there's a lot of them which are just on Xbox, exclusive to Xbox. A lot of great games where we've played them and been like, this is an ID game.
Mm-hmm.
All it would take is someone at Microsoft to ring up and go, do you fancy making an exclusive on your next one for the Scorpio? And they go, yes. Like, that's something that could realistically happen and could be fantastic, because there's thousands of great games there. There's a lot of games that play like AAAs. For instance, this is just as an example. I don't think that it's going to be this one, but Sniper Elite 4 was an ID game, and I, honest to God, always thought that the Sniper Elite series were a AAA release, and because they technically are, but they're an ID game. So there's definitely going to be something. What it is, I've got no clue. But
I don't understand why people
both have the right idea.
Were hating on Gears 4. I thought Gears 4 was ace.
I did.
I thought the
I did,
campaign
mate.
was really good.
As a proper fan of the series,
I loved it.
I loved the direction it took. But again, you know, it's always the masses that count. As hardcore fans of certain games are always the voice less listened to at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's just the way, as the saying goes, the way the cookie crumbles. That's the way the cookie crumbles. I had to say that.
I mean, Crackdown could be that killer app. It could be that killer game that when everyone sees it running on Scorpio, they go, "Holy Jesus, that looks amazing!" You know, it could be the one.
But let's be honest, it's been that long since Crackdown 2. It could be that, you know, it's going to stick to its core gameplay of free running around a city, but because it's been that long since anything like that's been available, it could feel fresh again.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited for E3 now. I can't wait for Scorpio to be revealed, and just for them to show the games. Shadow of War, yes please. I'll have some of that in 4K. Thank you. We've just touched on ID at Xbox. I just want to give a massive praise to Thimbleweed Park. I know you do as well, Bob. We've played quite a bit of that recently. I reviewed it recently for the site. What a great game! That game just is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely love it, mate.
It just took me back 30 years. It was just that first moment I put Zack McCracken on. It was just like, yes, this is it. So absolutely fantastic. But Rush, you've played a few recently, haven't you? What stood out for you in terms of what you've been playing?
Well, ID games. ID game for me is Snake Pass. I mean, we followed it since EGX Birmingham last year. We had a nice chat with Seb, the guy that made the game. We were sat outside, got a chat in with him. He said, "Come and have a look at my game if you would, please." And we did. We fell in love with it straight away, and to finally get our hands on the finished product, and you can just tell it's one of them games, you know, that the love and effort has been put into making something good. A completely different feel of game, with, you know, having to play as a snake and move around the world as a snake. Absolutely classic little game. Not amazingly long, but it didn't really need to be very long. And again, as I said before in previous podcasts when we talked about Snake Pass, it's a game that wouldn't go amiss from the likes of Rare. It's a really, really good little title, and I would urge anybody that's looking for that game, that's something that's a bit different, that they can play with, not just themselves but with the kids as well, and introduce them into gaming. And you know, it's a physical puzzler as well. So I'd say you are the puzzle. You as the snake are the puzzle. You've got to try and work out how to wrap yourself around bamboo sticks to get to point A, B, and C to get to the end of the level. Good little game, really is.
You enjoyed it, EGX, didn't you, Bob? You were waiting for that one for quite a while.
I loved it. Absolutely loved it at EGX. I got to get hands on for a level or two, and it was fantastic. I was sweating a little bit though, because it was move left stick, left and right, and hold the right trigger down, I think it is, to move forward. And see, a lot of games you just move the left stick forward or you pull the right stick. And so doing the two of them, and considering everybody who was standing around was watching us, the spotlight was on us for a second, and Russ was just standing there with a grin on his face. So I was nervous playing it, but it was absolutely fantastic.
Trying to think of any other titles we've played recently. Blackwood Crossing. Cracking little game by Paper 7, English developer. It's only a couple of hours long. but it's a game that's all about it's a massive, powerful story, and I won't be shy to admit that it did choke me up. Both of the first two playthroughs I did of it proper choked me up.
More than Kitty Powers did, because Kitty Powers choked you up a bit there, didn't it?
As a parent, it's got quite a powerful storyline. I don't want to spoil it because it is all about its story experience. But I would urge anybody that likes their story heavy experiences to pick up Blackwood Crossing.
Is it quite a short game?
Yeah, couple of hours. People would, the usual people that love that they're the first persons and that won't be interested in it. Class it as a walking sim, even though you do have a lot of interactions in the game. The main focus is on the story, and so like I say, a couple of hours take you to complete it. But by God, is it worth it?
Cool.
One that I played was Talent Not Included. Was from I thought they were called Freema Studios or Freema Games, but they're called Freema Originals. Developed and published by them. It's a little platforming game where you're kind of on one screen and jump from left to right, but it's on like it kind of rotates the level from the ground, so it just pops up. But it just, to me, you're on a stage. That's why it's called Talent Not Included. But it just looked like a big puppet show to me. And I done my preview video on it and got a little bit hooked. Really enjoyed it. Definitely worth the pick up. It's £11.99. I don't know the US equivalent on that right now, but definitely worth checking out if you like your little platformers with a little bit of a twist.
Fantastic. And what have we got coming out over the next couple of weeks, Russ?
Next couple of weeks, quiet week next week. There's a handful of games off the top of my head. You've obviously got Ukulele next week. That's another one to look out for.
Really? That was recently reviewed on the site, wasn't it?
It was reviewed on the site recently, yeah. I've played a little bit of it myself. Not allowed to do any video footage yet till the 10th, so keep an eye out for that on the YouTube channel. Wonder Boy, I've got my hands on that today, and I've been loving that. I love the retro graphics, and I can simply switch between the new version of the game and the retro graphics by pulling the right trigger, and it just swipes across the screen, no loading or anything. It's class. And go back to the last podcast where you took the mick out of the codes where you can input your old game save codes. There are some online. I have found some. So yeah, I've been enjoying playing that. I played a couple of hours of it today, but it's been enjoyable. What else is coming? A Late Shift FMV game from Wales Interactive. That's coming soon. I think what else?
There's a couple of big ones towards the end of the month. Guardians of the Galaxy is around about the 18th? The Telltale
Something
Guardians.
Like that, yeah. That's coming. Outlast 2 as well. That's coming soon.
We'll
get a stream
down that. Nah, it's not happening. It's not happening. We've already discussed it. It's not happening. Dave can stream it.
What else is there? There's something else I'm completely drawing a blank as to what there is. There's some others, and apologies for missing them.
Sniper Ghost Warrior.
That's
City Skylines.
City Skylines is the other one, yeah. Looking forward to that. It's weird, isn't it? Because we did speak a few months back before it was announced that it was coming, that we're missing a city builder on consoles, and lo and behold, we're getting one now, so really looking forward to getting that. And again, that's coming through the Idea Xbox program, so it's a program that's doing its job now. It's not just bringing out all these, as everybody expects them to be all the time, little pixelated platformers. There's some really good games coming through the Idea Xbox program. So,
Little Nightmares finally gets its release as well, doesn't it? At the end of this month.
Well. Yep.
So fairly packed.
Yep.
Fairly packed.
Definitely.
Okay. Cool. So, I think that's pretty much it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you want to promote the social media channels, fellas?
Yeah, check out the website, xboxgamerreviews.com. Check out on Twitter, Xbox_GR, and Facebook.com/XboxGamerReviews.
Yeah, check us out over on Beam, beam.pro/XboxGamerReviews. Twitch is twitch.tv/Xbox_gamer_reviews. And YouTube is youtube.com/XboxGamerReviews.com.
Fantastic. Yeah, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you again soon. See you later.
Cheers. See ya.
Bye.